High value women. Everybody talks about them and everybody wants to date them. But who are these high value women and how do you even identify them within a crowd of attractive women? And what do you do after finding them? Is there a way to slip past their psychological defenses and get them to date you? Is there really a practically applicable seduction concept which can help you in seducing such high value women? Well, my dear gentlemen, there is, and this is what I'm going to discuss about right now in this video. But before beginning, I want to quickly define a high value woman for making sure all of us are on the same page. A high value woman is a success minded hot girl who not only wants to be successful financially but also physically and emotionally. Such a girl is extremely beneficial to date since they tend to be independent and loyal. And when they fall in love with you, they literally start planning a future with you, which includes them doing financial plannings for the entire family's future. So, dating them is always a good deal since they are the girls with whom you can actually plan a future without worrying about them running away with someone else or becoming too needy and demanding. A real high value woman is both beauty and brains while being emotionally mature enough to understand the need of a stable future. And all this makes them extremely rare to come by and even more difficult to seduce since with high values comes high standards. Now, in future, I will make more in-depth videos about how to identify such high-value women by just looking at their body language, their social media, and their way of speaking. But right now, let's focus solely on how to seduce such high-value women when you identify them. Also, keep in mind that if your targeted woman is a total stranger to you and you haven't approached her yet or started talking to her, then I suggest watching our videos on how to approach women and how to slide into anyone's DM before watching this one, since this video is dedicated solely to seducing those high value women who are already familiar to you, even if they are not too deep into rapport with you. So go ahead and watch them if you haven't yet, and if you are new to the channel, then make sure to click on the like and subscribe buttons right now, and let's begin. Here is the high value blueprint, the simple 4-step method of attracting and seducing high value women without getting rejected. Step 1. Use ideological mirroring. Within our tactical attraction line of courses, we teach an advanced version of mirroring called ideological mirroring, which is the concept of making someone believe that you stand for the same ideals as them and then using that familiarity for building a higher level of rapport with them. In this case, a high-value woman has professional success and personal growth as the center of her core ideological beliefs. They have a growth-centric mindset that revolves around self-betterment in all aspects. So you have to appear as someone with similar growth-centric mindset to make her feel like you too are as obsessed with career and success as she is. And that can be done very easily by using certain storytelling sequences or by simply saying professional things like, you know, I have been watching the stock trends of that XYZ company and it seems like their prices are gonna plummet, causing the investors to lose approximately 45.64% of their initial invested capital. Hope you are not one of their investors, are you? Now, if she says she isn't, then you say, oh thank God, I got a little worried there. What do you think about the recent rise of those carbon emission control companies though? Does it seem like a good investment to you, or is it just like that dot-com bubble of the early 2000s? And that's it. You then wait for her reply, and it really doesn't matter what she says because now you have already set yourself up as someone who is of her type by posing as a success-centric individual. And don't get me wrong, you don't necessarily have to know stuff about the stock markets. You can simply copy and paste what I just said and say it in your own words, or you can just watch those stock market TV programs and YouTube videos and see what they're saying and say the same thing to her in your own words, making her believe that you are not only someone who is as success-centric as her, but also someone who cares for her success by showing his concern regarding the thought of her losing money on the stock. Now, you don't necessarily have to pick the stock markets too. It was just a simple example that I gave for the sake of this video. You can say anything that sounds professional and make her believe that you are just like her, and then she will instantly stop treating you as just another guy and will instead start respecting you moving forward. And after that, you move on to step 2. Find potential exploits. Within the Mac Tactic Seduction Circle of Dean Cortez, we call an exploit as a fundamental weakness in a girl's character which can be exploited by the means of psychological manipulation. And you find out these exploits by figuring out her past, trying to find out what made her the way she is. And trust me, it is essential to find out about your past because some high value women, believe it or not, have daddy issues. They have either been born and brought up in an abusive environment with a bad father, or they have been brought up without a father while facing financial and emotional struggles, which slowly molded them into the strong, success-centric individual that they are in the present. If you find out about the absence of a father or presence of an abusive father in their life, then it's clear that they haven't felt that fatherly care and subconsciously crave it, even if they don't show it. And that is a vulnerability in their character worth exploiting. And if you find out that your targeted high-value woman comes from a struggling family, then it means that if you make up a storytelling sequence of you facing similar struggles and overcoming them yourself, then you can easily exploit such a vulnerability and make her feel attracted to you by posing as someone who has faced and overcame the same challenges. Also, you will find out that a lot of high-value women are those who have had abusive romantic relationships and complicated breakups where they were cheated on by their lover or where their lover even died. If you find out such a thing to be the case of your girl, then it's even better, since now you can pose as someone who is similar to her dead boyfriend or someone who is simply the opposite of her cheating ex while still having the qualities which she loved in him. And all that information is gonna help you move forward in your goal of seducing a high-value woman. Step 3. Start exploiting. Once you have successfully identified the flaws within the woman's character and figured out exactly what struggles she has gone through, you have to go ahead and use certain storytelling sequences to paint your own picture as someone who has gone through similar struggles and successfully overcame them, reinforcing your familial image into her mind. Always remember that a high-value woman is self-centered in nature. They love themselves the most, and that's why both physical and ideological mirroring is so important in the task of seducing them. Here is what you can do. If you find out that your targeted girl has had an abusive father who used to hit her, then you can paint a similar picture of an abusive figure into your own life and childhood without making it your father. Meaning that you can make a story about an abusive teacher who used to scream, yell, and hit you for no big reason in your own childhood and tell her how you overcame that abuse and became who you are. Make sure to base that character of your fictional abusive teacher to be similar to her father so that she connects with you by reliving her own past traumas through your own eyes. Here is what you can say. When she tells you about her past, respond with something like this. You know what? To be honest with you, after hearing about how your father used to torment you, I started respecting you even more. Not because you have went through something, but because you have overcame that burden by not allowing that to dictate your present or future. You are truly strong. After her response to this, you can say, "It's okay, you don't need to thank me. Hearing about your past reminded me of my own childhood. I have not been lucky enough to enjoy a normal childhood either, you know." Then take a pause and wait for her to ask you what you have been through. And trust me, she will ask it because once you have built enough rapport and trust with her to make her talk to you about her past, she will absolutely ask you about yours since now she has started caring for you subconsciously. Once she asks that, you have to respond with something like this. His name was Mr. ABC. He was my maths tutor when I was a kid. I used to suck at maths because I was never fond of numbers, but I was still average. One day, I got a bad grade and my parents decided to bring him in to teach me. He was a well-respected tutor, but little did the all-knowing adults know that he used to mentally and physically torture his students for training them. He used to believe that pain is the only way of teaching. He used to scream all the time and hit all of us with rulers, slaps, and even punches. Now, once she replies with something like, "That is just horrible. That is like a criminal offense. You should have taken him to the police." You say, "And you should have taken your father to the police as well. But you didn't, right?" Things are not as simple as they should be. I still remember the day he made me roll up my full sleeve shirt to hit my arms with his wooden ruler so that my scars are not visible from the outside. I was too afraid to stand against him, and whenever he used to sense that I will talk to my parents, he used to give them a call telling them a fake story of my misbehavior before I reach home so that I stay silent and nobody pays attention to me thinking that I am lying. It wasn't after he hit me with that ruler that I actually got serious cause to show my parents and convince them that I'm not lying. They did take him to the police, but no charges were pressed against him because an influential political leader was his close relative and no one's family wanted to struggle from all that legal trouble anyway. So no legal action happened and no other family agreed upon taking things to the court, and the matter just settled with him giving a public apology and his tuition center shutting down permanently. But somewhere it wasn't enough, and I would have been very happy if he was convicted. But again, things are not as simple as they should be, right? And then she will say, "I'm so sorry that all this happened to you. I can feel your pain." And then you say, "Oh, you don't need to be sorry. And I know that you do feel my pain because you have gone through the same thing. I can feel you too. In fact, you are the first person I have ever shared this about my personal life with. Hope you won't tell it to anyone else, right?" To this, she might say, "Oh yeah, don't worry, your secret is safe with me." And then you say, "And yours with me." After that event, I overcame my shyness, and all that helped me become stronger in my life moving forward as I started raising my voice against the wrongdoers. Much like you, I'm so glad to meet someone so similar to my own self. And that's it. This is called trauma exploration, which is a grey hat psychological manipulation technique often used by interrogators for manipulating the suspects into confessing their crimes by reliving their own past traumas through the eyes of the interrogator, forcing them to think that the officer is in fact just like them and they should trust him because he can truly help them in getting away with the minimum punishment for their offense. But in reality, the sole purpose of the interrogator is to make the suspect confess of their crimes in full detail so that a strong case can be built against him and he faces the maximum sentence. What I just presented you is the toned down version of this tactic which you can use for making your targeted girl feel a strong emotional connection with you by forcing her to believe that you are, in fact, just like her. This way, she will start sympathizing with your fictional past and start respecting you for being strong enough to overcome the pressure of such drastic events. Remember that you always have to paint the picture of yourself as the survivor instead of the victim. You don't want to make her think that you are suffering from something. You have to make her think that you are a strong individual who has successfully survived past sufferings. Men who appear as victims of the current sufferings lose their respect, whereas men who appear as strong survivors of the past end up increasing their respect in the eyes of the woman. Watch our video on how to make a woman respect you to know more about this. And here's a pro tip. After the trauma exploring conversation, you can also say something like, "You know what? I have been thinking about making monthly donations to the ABC NGO. I have heard good stuff about them since they work for the welfare of the mentally ill and physically challenged children, as well as the children who have been victims of violent crimes and abuses. You think it's a good deal?" And there you go. You just increased her attraction towards you by like 100 times since she now thinks of you as a caring, kind-hearted, strong individual as well. And after all this, you move on to the final step, which is step 4, make the final move. Now that you have successfully built all the necessary rapport with her, you need to start being openly flirtatious and start complimenting her about her looks and start doing little things like opening doors for her and holding her hands while walking up and down the stairs to make her feel positive. And then ask her out on a date by using the tactic of the illusion of choice, which I've talked about in my How to Ask a Girl Out video. In this stage, you have to show her that you want a relationship with her and make her believe that she craves you too by using the basic influencing commands. And job done, you have successfully seduced a hard-to-seduce, high-value woman and convinced her into going out on a date with you. You see guys, this is the actual real-world way of making any girl so emotionally attached to you that she will start picturing you as the dream guy she always wanted to be with. Right now guys, I want you to go ahead and click on the first link in the description right now, because that link will take you to a detailed video lecture about tactical attraction hosted by my friend Brandon, who will teach you everything you need to know about the core psychological secrets of sexual attraction. He will introduce you to the benchmark technique of tactical attraction called the 3 magic word formula, which is so powerful that you can literally use it to turn any girl into your own emotional slave. So don't wait and click on the first link in the description right now and change your dating life forever.